So there has been some interesting developments in the relationship of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Now, as you all know, Obama kind of took an unorthodox approach to the 2016 election. He actually, for some reason, thought that it was a good idea and an ethical idea to stop being the president for a while and go campaign with Hillary to win the presidency. Now, there are a lot of things wrong with that. But before we get into that, I want to get into this article that was written by the Daily Mail UK. And it's referring to some of the quotes that were in Obama's new book that got leaked. So Barack Obama has some choice words for Hillary. Well, let's talk about just the title of the article. It's going to let you know a little bit about what's about to come. So this stings is the quote. How Obama saw Trump's victory as a personal insult. Watched the movie Doctor Strange to distract himself from election results and blamed Hillary for the loss because of her scripted and soulless campaign. So in the article, it says that Barack Obama admitted that it stung after the 2016 election results, and spent the night watching the movie Doctor Strange to try and distract himself, a new book claims. The former president went from being confident that Hillary Clinton would beat Donald Trump to seeing it as a personal insult that she lost. Obama could not believe the American people had turned on him for a man he had written off as a cartoon. As the dust settled, Obama told his family that this hurts and blamed Clinton, who brought many of her troubles on herself, he said, and ran a scripted and soulless campaign. I don't think that many can disagree with that. The eye-piping details are in a new edition of Obama, The Call of History by the New York Times chief White House correspondent Pete Baker. The book was originally released in July 2017, but has been updated with extensive new reporting throughout Obama's time in office. And the run through the election day is electrifying. Obama was cordial to the president, to his face, when they first met in person. But in private, he called Trump a con man, straight out of Huckleberry Finn. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with that. And Obama even likened himself to Michael Corleone in the Godfather movies, and said that he was handing power over to somebody who would destroy his legacy. As Obama saw it, he almost got out of the White House unscathed, like the mob boss who nearly survived without being whacked. Baker writes that Obama woke up on the morning of November 8th, 2016, convinced he would not be handing the nuclear football over to Donald Trump. The reality television star, he thought, was a joke. Obama arrogantly thought there was no way Americans would turn on him, even though Clinton was far from perfect. Baker writes that she was a serious and seasoned professional who had served at the highest levels of government and provided quote-unquote mature leadership. Just as important, she would continue his policies. Yeah, it's not a good thing. And cement his biggest achievements, which were what exactly? What you mean? Trump is continuing your achievements. Didn't you brag about the United States being the largest exporter of oil around the world now? And we're the number one, and you're bragging. And Trump is just continuing what you've done. Weren't you the one who started bombing Syria? Trump is just continuing what you've done. Look, you didn't need Hillary Clinton in there to keep doing criminally wrong acts for your legacy to prevail. Trump got you. Obama being too hard on the man. And with his legacy, he felt that Hillary would have kept his legacy in safe hands. Man, there's so much to unpack here. I mean, we kind of knew how we felt about Trump, right? It is what it is. Who didn't? If you had common sense, you couldn't think of this man, in my humble opinion, as anything other than a buffoon. even if he got things right every now and then. You just the way he carries himself, everything seems to be a joke to him. But I want to get to this part about Hillary. So, in my humble opinion, if you've looked at how Barack Obama and Michelle Obama even had treated Hillary throughout not only the presidency, but even before that, while they were running against each other, Barack had a legitimate disdain for Hillary Clinton. Before he became the corporate, the corporate Obama that we know today, he actually used to talk about policies. He did something that a lot of people wanted Bernie Sanders to do during the 2016 election. When he was running against her in 2008, he was talking about all the favors that she had given to Wall Street, who was donating to her campaign at the time, the people that she was affiliating with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, he was going in on Hillary Clinton. He didn't like her. And it probably had something to do with the fact that Hillary kind of ran a racist campaign against him. But truth be told, the thing that makes the Obama phenomena all the more troubling, some would call it, is that before he became president, his record was damn good. Personally, he was an activist. He also was a human rights attorney, even though he had all the talent and the background to be something much more. He could have made a lot more money. He didn't sell out early in his career when he could have. At the point where he was only worth $300,000, being a lawyer in Chicago, not that much money. Even once he became a senator, he was still only worth about $300,000. His wife was worth close to $10 million, and yet Obama still seemed to make decisions based off of what he thought would be the greater good for the people, and didn't sell out. However, that changed when he became the president. But that's why it became all the more surprising when he allowed Hillary Clinton to treat the presidency and that Oval Office like her personal stomping ground. I don't think that he ever really liked her. I don't think that he supported her. I do think that it became a personal vendetta, not necessarily against Trump or even in support of Hillary, but I think Obama's ego became hyperinflated. And I do believe that there is an identity component to this that oftentimes doesn't get discussed. See, Obama is half black, obviously, but more specifically, he's half African. Okay? But he never really hung out with his African family. His mother was white. That's the family he was raised around. And from everything that I've read, he was basically the only black person in his immediate family and out of his cousins. And on top of that, it wasn't like he was African-American black. He was African black. So his experience was very unique. And if you ask me, there was a constant struggle to try and fit in with the people around him. And at the time, it would be elitist white people. His mother used to work for the CIA. So at the time, it would have been elitist white people who, no matter almost seemingly what he did, he would have to capitulate, right? Otherwise, why do you change your name to Barry? That doesn't seem like a proper abbreviation for Barack, if you ask me. And people around Washington, D.C. would often say that Barack Obama was constantly trying to be a people pleaser. Obviously, the Tea Party ramped up when he became the president. And yet, he was constantly trying to capitulate to them instead of standing up for the people. Why? Because if anyone could tell anything about Barack Obama by the end of his presidency, if you were really paying attention to him, he wanted to be adored and admired, because for the first time, in my humble opinion, he did it. He won. He won the first time he ran, and he was the most popular person in the room. And the truth of the matter is, he didn't get into Columbia he didn't get into Ivy League at first. People think that he had to transfer schools, people. He went to a local school and transferred into Columbia. So this was almost like one of those situations where whatever I have to do to make me look popular, even though substantively I'm not doing what I think is best, then I'm okay with looking popular. Think about it. When he said, this is a former activist saying, hey, we're the #1 exporter of oil in the world. Barack, that might have been cool to talk about maybe 10 to 15 years ago, but you say that now, Barack might not even get reelected. Like if he ran with the same campaign he ran in 08, or maybe not the campaign he ran in 08, because he ran a decent campaign in 08, admittedly enough. But in 2012, if he ran that campaign, he wouldn't get reelected. He wouldn't get reelected. If a Trump came into the picture, he would knock Obama out. In all seriousness. So it's interesting to me now, because if Barack Obama was that concerned about his legacy, he had a Bernie Sanders who was the most popular candidate in the nation. And up until the very, very end, he actually expressed support. He was enamored with Bernie Sanders' campaign. He complimented Bernie Sanders at the correspondence dinner. You know, he had like a little joke, but he didn't have anything positive to say about Hillary at the correspondence dinner, which was interesting. But I'm not sure how he thought that she was going to run anything else other than a soulless and scripted campaign. You know the woman. Why did you get behind her? America didn't turn on you, Barack Obama. You turned on America. And if anything, when people are like, well, Barack Obama endorsed her, this is another example of even Barack Obama knows that she ran a bad campaign, and yet Bernie supporters and progressives are constantly being asked, well, do you want to defeat Trump? Are you going to do whatever you can to defeat Trump? If a progressive, or if a Democrat wins, or if a Biden wins, for example, are you going to back him? I think progressives, considering all the evidence that has been recently released, I think we should be asking y'all, if a progressive wins, are you going to back them? Are you going to throw all your money behind them? Even though if Bernie wins, it doesn't really matter if you throw all your money behind him, because he has all the money. Y'all don't even have enough to throw behind him, even if he does win. So, but I think it's a valid question to ask, because as we find more information, it seems to me that we were correct. You didn't run a winnable candidate. And if Barack Obama is so concerned about his damn legacy, and if he was so concerned about his damn legacy, why not pick the man? Why not support the man who when he walked into the Democratic National Convention, people were crying. He hadn't even opened his mouth yet. Not necessarily because of Bernie himself, but because of what at the time he represented. And instead, you allowed your wife to pontificate about how Hillary was the most qualified candidate. Listen, anybody who's worked in the corporate world, or any business for that matter, will tell you, not all experience is good experience. Anybody in the restaurant business can really tell you that, because all they do is, what do? They recycle managers all over the city because they have a network, and everybody's so surprised when the manager is just as bad at their new job as they were at their next job. Hillary was just as bad in her new campaign as she was in her old campaign. She would have been just as bad as president as she was in her Secretary of State position and as her senator position. And just like the restaurant industry, she was only able to achieve such high feats as far as her career was concerned because of her connections, not because of her personal success. So, but I just find this interesting. It's fascinating that he knew. So you knew her campaign was bad, and yet you were surprised at the results. So for as intelligent as Barack Obama claims he is and other people think he is, seems like it wouldn't be that intelligent to purposely blind yourself. It would have been interesting to see him step in at some point, like Howard Dean had to step in, for those of you who don't know. In 2008, Howard Dean had to step in for Barack because Hillary and her superdelegates were not budging, despite the fact that they knew Barack was clearly the more popular candidate. This time, no one would step in. In fact, they put in Debbie Wasserman Schultz, by the way, to make sure no one would step in, because they already knew how unpopular Hillary was. And yet, Barack Obama didn't, even though he went through the exact same experience, obviously barring some specifics, but he almost went through the exact same experience as far as the superdelegates, right? The party being stacked against him, everything like that. Even the racial component that a lot of people forget about when Hillary was trying to play on race. And instead of doing the right thing, like Howard Dean did for him, he ignored it. And that's what we call poetic irony, my friends. I'd love to know what your thoughts are about this. Remember, like, share the video, and leave your thoughts and comments below. And always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Thanks for watching that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and JustNForm.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.